certain project areas. So we try to get out in front of mill and overlay project areas or street paving projects so that we can make a lot of holes for them to fix later on. And our replacements are completely voluntary. There's no pressure. We do get very good sign up. We're generally right around, at least the last 3 years, we're at about 95% participation, which is incredibly successful when you think about getting people to sign up to do anything in this world. 95%, we're pretty pleased with that. The program itself, our pilot year was in 2022. We were hoping to get 300 done that year. We also were planning on getting 600 done in 2023. Then we started really developing into working with CDM Smith, one of our consultants here. And we knew we had to ramp this stuff up, and we had to do it quickly so we could make our 10-year plan successful. So as you see in 2024, we were planning on 1,200. This year we were planning on doubling that and a little bit more, up to 2,500. And at the apex of our program in 27, 28, and 29, we're planning on getting 3,500 of these done each of those years, and then slowly ramping down into 2032. Well, those are the plans. What I can tell you is what we really did was in 2022, we had 305. So we met our goal. 2023, we did 614. So we met our goal there. 2024, we were planning on 1,200. Well, we got pretty close, 1,045. We also have 160 of those that were planned in 2024 that are going to be done in 2025. So once the actual phase 3 funding from TFA comes together, we will have replaced over 1,200 service lines using the 2024 funding. This year in 2025, we're looking at 4 major projects. Well, we hope 4 major projects. We're for sure going to do those first 3 Como Western areas at about 520 expected replacements. And I call that expected replacements because we utilize that 95% participation rate. And there is a certain percentage of service lines out there that we just really don't know what the material is. And as we've been going through this project, we found that about 60% of those turn out to be lead. So in Como Western, there's about 580 or 580 plus service lines, but we only expect to get to 520 because we think we're going to find a good chunk of them are already copper. East side, which is more interesting for you folks, we're looking at around 590 expected this year. We're calling it the East Side Project. There is a portion of the East Side Project that is actually in a different ward, but I'll show you that if I have time in a little bit later. Central City is the big one, 780. And then, if possible, we're hoping to get another 4th one in if we have enough funding, and that's about 220. And I'll try to show you a map of that too if we have time. Quick look at lead service line ownership. The ownership is right around that property line is right on the sidewalk. So the house side of the sidewalk, that's where that property line is. Usually it's the homeowner's responsibility to take care of any kind of replacement or maintenance on the service line from this point into the home. But with this particular program, with the federal and state funding that we're getting, we are able to do that at no cost to the property owner. But of course, it has to be done during certain times so that we can get these things done efficiently. How it works, we'll just go through this quickly because I do want to show you those maps. Property owners first have to start out with completing an intent form online. They can also call us and we can do that for them over the phone. They do have to sign an agreement before we do anything, and then there's a little inspection, probably a month or 2 before it happens. And then the homeowner has to be there on construction day. After the replacement is done, we want everybody to flush out all of their piping inside the house, and we give them directions on how to do that. And then use a water pitcher with a filter for 6 months. We provide that filter and water pitcher for them to use. And then about 4 months after the construction day, we ask all the property owners to submit a water sample for testing. Our outreach consists of letters, postcards, yard signs, phone calls. We knock on doors. We use our website. We got newsletters, social media platforms. We're leveraging a bunch more this year. So we're not really leaving any club in the bag as far as we're concerned on outreach. There are some locations, and we monitor and record every one of these interactions. Some of them take up to 20, 25 different interactions with that one property owner just to get everything done. This is a little picture of what the program is working on the projects this year. So the east side one is right over here, including Case Duluth, 7th Duluth, Rainy Clearance, Stillwater Kennard, York Hazelwood, and Ivy Kennard. What's kind of cooler to look at, hopefully I can bring this up and you can see it. So this is the east side project right here. Magnolia down all the way up into this Ivy Kennard range here. I'll show you a little bit of let's hide that. Show you a little bit of what that does to Ward 6. Okay, so that's Ward 6. And so east side's got a lot of Ward 6 in, and it's up here. Also, oh, this will be cool too. I'll show you this. These are the eligible services. So you see these reds and oranges. Those are partial or full service line replacements. So these are all the ones that we're planning on getting done on the east side project in Ward 6. Also up here, a little bit over along, kind of closer to the Arlington Ruth general area. The other one we were talking about that I said, well, I hope we're going to get our 4th project in is the Edgerton Payne project, and that's right here. So there's a good little chunk in Ward 6 here. There's some up here in Ward 4. Yeah. So yeah, those are kind of, that's basically where we're at. I'm certainly open to any questions you have, but I did want to keep it down to about 10 minutes. So hopefully I was able to do that, but any questions at all for me?
Now, isn't there a website that we can check to see if or the people can check to see if their property's been done? Or
yeah, that's the service line lookup.
Okay.
Those, I think this actually this QR code right here can get you to a place where there's a link to that service line material. There's also one statewide that is hosted by the University of Minnesota. So if you're interested in checking on maybe some friends in Minneapolis or some friends in Bloomington or something like that, a good place to go is to the University of Minnesota lead service lookup page.
Thank you.
Do you know when the area east of White Bear, north of Maryland, is going to be covered? So like that, a lot of dots up in the upper right.
This area right here, this is a mill and overlay project by St. Paul, and they're planning on getting this done in 2027. So we are going to try to get in front of their mill and overlay, and our plans right now is these would go in 2026. But that will change depending on if Public Works pushes off that mill and overlay project that they have. But it's a pretty big area, and they're doing the whole mill and overlay on the whole area. So we definitely want to get in front of that.
And I'm sorry, I might be missing the shorthand. Mill and overlay?
Yeah, that's when you'll see they kind of grind off the first 2-3 inches of a street, and then they just put another new layer of blacktop or bituminous mix over the top of that. So it really cleans up the road and makes it, you can do that in between major reconstructions, and it really does lengthen the service life of that road.
So the plan is for
but
you
I'm sure
all
you'll
to...
be hearing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so you all are aiming when that kind of project is going on to do the lines before they do that, so then the road's not torn up again.
Yeah, it's not even just that it's torn up again. It's just when we're done, there's a lot of holes in the block, So we try to get in front of something like that all those holes don't look great, but if we get in front of a mill and overlay, well, next year it's all getting fixed anyway. So that's kind of a win-win across the board.
Nice. And I was also curious for the 5% of people who decline, do you guys have any feedback on what's leading people to decline having their lead service line replaced?
Yeah, you know, a good chunk of it is just simply vacant homes, and we cannot find any response or get any response from the property owner as listed in, you know, Ramsey County property records. There are also others that say, well, no, I mean, I just finished my basement and I don't want you cutting a hole in the floor of my basement to get a new service line brought in. There are other kind of, and some people just simply, they basically do not want anyone to enter into their home, and that they're willing to say, no, I don't want this free service because I just don't want you in my home for one reason or another.
Oh, and actually, sorry, one more question. I was curious for the 6 months after where people drink out of the filtered pitchers. Since you know the line's been replaced with, you know, copper, what's the concern there?
Whenever a service line is disturbed, you should really do that, regardless of if it's lead to copper or you replaced your copper line with a new copper line. The first 6 months, you should just really do it as a matter of course. It's not so much that we're thinking that there's lead still sitting around in there when we already took the lead out of the ground. We've got a nice little copper line, but when you make those disturbances, it's a good practice.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Brent? Okay, well, Brent, thank you so much. Is there any way that you would be able to email me that PowerPoint presentation just for the folks who aren't here? I could forward that on.
Sure thing. I'll do that right away, Lisa.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming
You bet.
tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have Jessica, our AmeriCorps Climate Impact Corps person, who is going to be talking about the St. Paul Climate Action Plan. So Jessica, I'll let you take it away.
All right, thank you. So I just wanted to talk to you guys. St. Paul is updating their climate action plan, and they just wanted to get some input from the community. So they're just asking, I just wanted to lead a discussion with you guys. They just had some questions for you. So obviously climate change is happening in our area. We've had warmer temperatures over the years. You know, climate change is from the generation of electricity. People for the past, like, there's 150 years have been using fossil fuels to heat their homes, travel, space, electricity, industrial processes, space and water heating, modes of transportation, obviously, generation and disposal of waste have caused it to happen, the climate to change. Specifically, St. Paul has been affected by extreme heat events, poor air quality. I definitely know this with working with the foundry in Northern Iron. Ecological changes, invasive species have led to changes, tree cover, and reduce the benefits of like the healthy forest provides. Changes in precipitation, spring and summer are becoming wetter at a rapid rate. Changes in precipitation patterns will likely lead to more river and flash flooding in St. Paul. Some neighborhoods are more at risk than others when it comes to climate related hazards like flooding, extreme heat, or poor air quality. So St. Paul and the Climate Resilience Plan lays out a vision to make the city carbon neutral by 2050, while preparing for climate impacts and prioritizing equity. So some of their goals is reducing emissions through energy efficiency, transitioning to renewable energy, supporting sustainable transportation options, cutting waste, and enhancing urban resilience. So specific goals include increasing clean energy usage in buildings, expanding public transit and biking infrastructure, and protecting natural ecosystems. So the central to the plan is a commitment to equity, ensuring all residents benefit from the city's actions, especially those most impacted by climate change, who often are like low income, Black, Indigenous, and other people of color who live in neighborhoods with historically and current racial disparities. By fostering collaboration with community members, businesses, and other stakeholders, St. Paul aims to reduce emissions, improve air quality, create green jobs, and build a city ready to thrive in a changing climate. How was the current CARP created? The current plan was developed through research, community input, and collaboration with experts and stakeholders. The plan uses 2015 as a baseline year to assess emissions, sets a goal of carbon neutrality by 2050, and includes both initiatives to migrate greenhouse gas emissions and strategies to reduce vulnerabilities. The plan integrates strategies to address broader issues like housing, transportation, and workforce development while promoting co-benefits such as improved air quality, public health, and economic opportunities. How does the city use the CARP? The city uses the plan as a guiding framework to achieve the goal of carbon neutrality by 2050 and to address the local impacts of climate change. The plan informs policy decisions, prioritizes investments and initiatives across sectors such as energy, transportation, waste, and natural resources. It provides actionable strategies to reduce emissions, enhance resilience, and improve equity, focusing on areas with the greatest potential impact like energy efficiency, home weatherization, and transportation options. The plan's metrics and benchmarks allow the city to track progress. So I just wanted to ask you guys if you had some questions. If you just wanted to give some feedback for that I can enter for the city. So the first question will be, what changes have you guys noticed like in your community to the climate change, and how do they impact you guys? Since you all have been here a lot longer in Minnesota than I have.
I would say the loss of the trees along the streets, I've noticed that it's warmer inside our home without the trees. I think I've noticed that. I also noticed that the water level, we have this, I don't know, between our house and the railroad tracks, there used to be a drainage, but now the water just sits here. I noticed that water is sitting higher quite often longer into the springtime. It used to just be a short time, or if we had a lot of snow, now it seems to just stay there. I don't know if that's part of climate change or what causes that, but that's some things I've noticed.
So like water levels higher just on like
Yep.
in the grassy areas, like
Well, there's a
standing
gully.
water.
There's a
Okay,
gully, you know,
and
between
gullies.
behind. Yeah.
I've noticed just our weather swings from very low to very to moderate in just a matter of days, when normally this would take at least a week for the weather pattern to change.
Yeah, I'll echo Joan with the trees, even the ones that haven't been removed. There's a lot of trees that their canopies are reduced. So they are showing signs of stress. And now we aren't getting regular In addition to the drought during summer, we're not getting enough snow to insulate the trees during the winter, so that's stressing them as well. And is noticeable. I definitely agree with the loss of the ash trees and those coming down. You can notice spaces are getting hotter. And we haven't experienced this ourselves, but I have heard other people say they're having more issues with water in their basement, whether that's weather versus climate. At this stage of the game, I'm not sure. And the other one people have reported is being apprehensive about reporting weather damage to homes, because people are getting threats that they're not going to be able to maintain, they won't get to continue their home insurance policy. And it looks like from the news that's happening broadly across the state.
So the next question was, what are top concerns you have about climate change for your household and for your community? So go ahead, sorry. So you could say like loss of insurance for homes due to weather.
Yeah, people not being able to, we really rely on that mechanism to be able to keep people housed. I'm definitely worried about the heat island effect with the loss of overstory trees, and some of them haven't been replaced, and the city's now working on that, but it'll be a while before they're effectively providing shade again, and other trees will be at risk from these same factors.
I agree. I know we drive past Phelan a lot, and the little trees, a lot of them are blown over and broken already, which is sad.
I know they had some vandalism and some of the trees being thrown into the Mississippi River.
Yes.
So,
Wasn't that awful?
Yeah. So I know the city's facing some opposition to trying to mend it, but yeah, it's a concern.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just noticed even for us personally, like with the extreme colds, with how much natural gas we've been going through this year, and how like to offset the energies the households are gonna, you know, like they talk about, the fossil fuels that we go through, and you know how are we gonna they release, greenhouse gases and stuff, and all of these houses we have to, you know the CO2, the production of that stuff. I worry about that too.
Mitigate it.
Then mitigate it somehow. Yes. That's yes. At our house, we decided that we were gonna lower the temperature at the negative 14 mornings.
Yeah, we've lowered how warm the house is and put on warmer clothes to try to mitigate not only the amount of what we're sending out, but also the price. Because natural gas, of course, like everything else, is going up. And so you've got to kind of try to budget what it costs, and I think that's a problem. I also noticed I don't like looking outside in the winter and seeing all the brown grass instead of seeing what will help for growing seasons and all those things that help the environment to have plants growing. And I don't know what this will cause with not having moisture in the soil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thor and Jenny, they said they've noticed a lot less snow and more rain or freezing rain in the winter. That's a comment. That's what Lisa and I were talking about the one day in the office also. Was a lot more rain and freezing rain in the winter, and what effect that will have. There's another question. What are the most important things for the city to work on related to climate change? And what change do you want to see? What do you most want to see?
Busing and biking infrastructure for greener commuting from the outer edges of St. Paul, like we are.
I agree with Rebecca. I would like to see us figure out a way that our public transit was actually functioning in a way that made people feel safe and yet could get to the places they wanted to go to in a timely fashion. I think that could help a lot to get autos off the roads. Automobiles really do send out a lot of emission stuff that's not good for our environment. And we've gotten so used to having a car and just going whenever you felt like it. And I'm not saying that's necessarily bad, but I think we need to look at in other ways. And I've also thought about how businesses could help with this, with the environment by doing a better job
Motion detected
of
at front
setting
door.
up their, setting things up, so that they were more energy efficient in their businesses and what they were using. The government including, I'm not leaving them out of this, so.
I don't know if this fits under this, but more programs to help people reduce putting down salt, to encourage people to reduce or not use salt when addressing ice and snow due to freshwater contamination, because that's definitely something we'll need to combat climate change. And we're kind of the stewards of, some of the greatest sources of fresh water in our country. And another one, I've seen some programs, and I don't know how much we have this here, but I know of them elsewhere, where there's groups that come in and help elders and people who don't have the means to do it themselves to help make their homes more energy efficient, to cover a lot of the cost and labor and parts. And so it helps with energy efficiency and climate change, but it also helps people in aging homes that are deteriorating live in a better home environment. And then for the next generation that gets that home, that buys that home, they're inheriting a home that's in better shape as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so, some things are in place, like the TENS program utilizing the right-of-way franchise fees, and I'd like to see some more activity on that path, utilizing the because it covers weatherization first, and then it's a thermal energy network that would be on a grid basis, providing residential forest neighborhoods a geothermal heat source, but incorporating our sidewalks and roadways to utilize some of that, so we're not using salt, and less plows on the road to push the snow around, and incorporating some of that into it would be good.
Okay. And then there's just one more question I want to get to. Okay. What kinds of support or resources would you like related to climate changes, which is kind of what you got? And then what are 3 things you or your community can do to reduce your impact?
I would like to see more programs that helped people actually, like Rebecca was saying, take care of their homes in a better way by, doing insulation or whatever they may need to keep the heat that they have, so they would use less of the fossil fuels in order to do it. A dream of mine would be able to, that everybody would be able to have a, I'm kind of not sure what the right title is, but the energy efficient way to heat and cool your home with those special, my son had one in his apartment, and it would let you it use less energy to heat and to, I think that would be, if we had programs that would help people do that, that would be really important to me.
Are you talking about an air force or air heat pump?
Yeah, yep,
Yep.
heat pumps or whatever they're called, yep.
The city has here like maybe more access to fresh food for people, or green space would be something. Do you think increasing like composting and recycling places for people would be beneficial at all? I think maybe giving more access, like, because I've been seeing a lot more trash, like big trash on our street. Have you guys noticed that in the city at all?
It's very
Like what?
bad. I know a lot of people who pick up a lot of garbage, and so I don't think the city is even fully aware of how bad the problem would be if there weren't so many citizens that are
Yeah.
doing a lot of cleanup, adopting drains, things like that.
Yeah, trash cleanup. Yeah, like even us personally, we had someone just literally drop a trailer off with trash in it in front of our house. And it sat there for like almost 2 weeks when we called the city to come get it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So I think trash, like cleanups and like we can walk, you can walk every day and pick up trash on your street. And that would, if everyone did that, I think it would make a huge difference. Um, and like Rebecca, it's good to hear your voice, Rebecca. Welcome back. I'm glad you made it back.
Thanks.
Yeah, I hope you had a great time. Um, Even like getting like, more schools involved in teaching the younger generations about, the importance of, keeping areas clean and, you know, playgrounds and their school areas clean would be a great thing, I think. So,
I know that's something Martha has mentioned with the extension of, now I'm thinking Phelan Furnace,
mhm,
past Maryland. That green
yeah,
space to the west is actually part of school property. And
sure.
so could be a space that could be kind of reimagined for educational
Yeah, it's
um,
not a bad idea. Sorry.
learning for students
Yeah,
instead of kind of full of, trash and other things that kind of haven't been managed.
yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Lisa, are we
No, I
getting?
was just going to ask you if you would be willing to send those questions out to the remainder of the board just to get their perspective, just because there's quite a few who are missing tonight.
Oh,
And
sure.
even for those who are here, sometimes it's like, I don't know, but then after you're done with the meeting, then it's like, oh, I should have said blank. So, gives
Sure.
everyone an opportunity to think about it a little bit and get you those answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a meeting um on the 24th if anyone's interested. It's at the Arlington Hill Community Center. It's from 6:30 to 8 that the city is hosting with these questions and a discussion. It's in their room B. So, I think it's a 90-minute meeting. 6:30. Oh, no, it's an hour and a half meeting. 6:30 to 8. And there'll be food there and you get a $50 gift card for participating.
So maybe when you send out that those questions, would you include that information too?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, but thank you guys for listening and participating. That was fun.
I have one more, community-led renewables. So renewable energy sources, that are run within the district. farm, like solar farm, that type.
All right. Well, if you do think of anything else that you'd like to add, respond to Jessica's email that she'll be sending out, or just give her a call and let her know. So thanks, Jess.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Does anyone have any neighborhood questions or would like to bring up anything in the neighborhood? Don't all jump in at once. All right. Well,
I'll
with
give
that,
one thing to be excited about. I
yeah.
told Lisa, but the lights are replaced on Furness Parkway. Last time I
Finally.
checked, they're still there.
I was just gonna say, are they still there, Rebecca?
Need to go look again.
Well, I'm not gonna say that I anticipated that they were gonna be done this soon, but I'm glad they were. Usually we're the last ones on the list, right, Rebecca?
Well, and that was the funny thing because we emailed them and Nelsie was trying to help, and she said she had reached out to people and they just said we don't really have solutions for what to do, so we're leaving them open. And so I said, well, I'd just like it if you'd come speak to our district and explain how you're prioritizing who does and doesn't get replaced, and then what the plan is for that, developing that timeline, what's going to be the thing that needs to happen. And then they just got replaced. And we never got a message back. And so I'm not saying it had anything to do with that, but it's like, now I was like, well,
Take
wait
the
a second.
credit.
Do you have a plan to protect them? Like, I understand not replacing it if you think they're just going to be stripped again. We just want to know your thought process. So, oh, well, they're leaving it on continuous, which they had told me before was not successful, but so far, so good. So we'll see.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna give you credit anyway, Rebecca.
It was all you.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that whenever we can tell anyone that's in, those levels of, government or whatever, what we believe and what we want and what we think, I think, even if they don't listen, I think we need to still do it, because you never know when they might hear what you have to say. I know I was with, many of you know, I take, my husband goes to the VA, and we were on the DAV driver, and he's one of the people that told us all about how that lighting system works with the police to be able to know what's being taken down, and if they cut the wires, when they know, and all that stuff. It was real interesting to hear about that on my ride from here to the Minneapolis VA. So, and I asked him about, why are we not using that? And he said, well, it's kind of an expensive setup to begin with, but it does work. That's how they've caught people in other parts who are stealing the copper.
Sure.
Although I do know one of our elder neighbors who still has a landline. He was without a phone for a week and a half because they were stripping copper out of like the manholes. So yeah, it's definitely an ongoing whack-a-mole kind of problem,
Exactly.
but at least for now the lights are back.
Yep. Let's
That's
hope they
great.
stay.
Hopefully they'll stay. Well, I have nothing really more for you. So if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
I make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. And I will see you all in March with hopefully some more MPCA funding news.
Good luck.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
guys. Thank you.